Hello, everyone, and thanks, Sean. When Sean asked me to, if he asked me if I knew someone who could demonstrate the basics of using the Android iPhone, the first name that came to my mind is our is our is my friend Hershey Trividi. But we all call him Hershey. He resides in Daytona, Florida, and he and I volunteer for a nonprofit organization based in Houston, Texas called iBug Today. He co-facilitates a program called Android Insight, which is a open Q&A forum where you can ask any questions about your Android device. And they meet every third Tuesday of every month. And so you're in luck today because this evening from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and if you're free, I'm sure Hershey would love to see you there. And you can find our Zoom conference information at ibugtoday.org. And it's my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Hershey. So, Hershey, I turn this over to you.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. And hey, Shri, I think you're trying to have people come to your little fun buzz call too, because on Tuesdays at iBug Today is actually their buzz call. So they focus on, it's called a mini buzz call, and they actually focus on iOS, but my call will be on Wednesday. So every third Wednesday is the iBug Android Insight call. So how do I run this show? Well, you guys run the show, the audience, right? If people have questions, the show goes. If not, I'm just going to try to show you what I know because to take it back, my journey with Android has been from, let's say, 2012. And how that turned it out was the Galaxy S2 was the first touchscreen phone that I touched, and a little overbearing because you think, hey, it's a touchscreen phone, barely any buttons on it. How can a person with vision loss control such things? And my vision at that point was probably at a low vision status, you could say, a high partial. And being that is, I was able to use magnification and contrast more easily. Recently, I lean into the screen reader world, which I'll get to explain what the differences are with magnification or screen reader tools. But just to give a little briefing on Android is we kind of had an infant for quite some time, and some of the information that is available to people is dated. And so where I feel it's my kind of duty is let's fill in the gaps where does people's knowledge base fit in? Because we had phones like LG that such little companies would give them out to you, the little MVNOs as they call them, and yeah, they're cheap, they're free phones. But guess what? LG went out of business. So where are my friends left, right? We all come from all age groups. There's no age limitation to accessibility. We all need accessibility. So how do we find this? And this is kind of where Android kind of comes into focus, where we all have heard with iOS being accessible, and people have some myths about, well, is Android accessible? Well, of course it is. And how is it accessible? Well, it's us, the people, that say to said company like Google, hey, we need a better magnification tool because, you know, I need this to work more than just a phone. And that's what we're into at this point in modern day is the smartphone world. So let's take it back to what tools are available for accessibility. So if you're low vision, you have magnification, you have contrast changing. So if you do need to change it from, let's say, reverse contrast, so a black background with maybe white font, perhaps you like yellow font colors, maybe blue background with yellow font colors, because every person's eye condition is different. The other aspect to look at it as, well, I am losing my sight quickly, and you know what? Maybe I should start listening to the phone a little bit more, because speech might save me, right? Speech is going to give you back what you're missing, because what are you missing technically in a text message? The message. So you want to make sure that whatever tool you use is kind of let it grow onto you, right? Because speech might not grow onto you right away, but with Android, you do have that flexibility. So if you wanted to use just a kind of a partial screen reader type of solution, you have a tool called Select to Speak. And then we also have a screen reader for those that might have no sight or have a low partial sight. So that screen reader's name is called TalkBack. So if you want to compare what you might have heard with iPhones as far as the spaces, you might have heard of VoiceOver, which is said screen reader. You might have heard of JAWS, which is on Windows. So TalkBack is what Android systems typically use, but you do have a couple of variations. So let me just kind of get this out of the way because Amazon decided they want to make Android stuff too. And sometimes we get confused by all these plethoras of Android situations here. So the screen readers in that world is called Voice View, and that is found on the Fire tablet and on the Fire Stick. So if you are a screen reader user, that is what Voice is on the Amazon side, and that is included in the quote unquote Android ecosystem. Then you have Samsung, who used to call their screen reader called Voice Assistant, but that went away with this phone I have over here, which is a where'd it go? Right here, my Note 9, handy dandy Note 9 with the headphone jack. Because, whoop, hold on, phone. With the headphone jack here, it's always a useful phone, but the other pieces is what works for you. I like Samsung phones because it gives me the best for my low vision. They make the most deepest contrast screens, in my opinion. And then if you are losing your sight quickly, but you want the best and the best, I say go for your Pixel, and that's the Pixel was trying to steal the party here. So that was the Pixel phone talking on in the background there, and that's best for screen readers. And you got to understand, Google is the one who's making this happen for us. So Android comes from Google, and currently we are on the operating system Android 14, and that has a lot of cool features to offer because with a Pixel phone, for example, I could send a text message and say, "Hey Shri, what time is the meeting?" Send. And then as soon as I say that, it's going to send it to Shri, and I'm doing all that by voice. So it gives a lot of flexibility to have tools and to research things. You also have the AI assistant with Gemini nowadays, but just to give you tools that Android is accessible even with having no sight or to have partial sight. But it really depends on where everybody really wants to, keep themselves at the learning pace. And again, we do encourage people, even on our iBug Android Insight call, just come on in and any question, it brings in insightful information just from any approach because all of this stuff is a little overwhelming and we're always we're a product at the end of the day, unfortunately. But the best phones that I could recommend for anyone that's seeking new devices would be to stick with Samsung because, for one, they offer 5 to 7 years worth of operating system and warranty support. Well, maybe not warranty, but support, excuse me. And then with the Google Pixel, they offer 7 years of operating system. So if you bought a Pixel 8 phone, for example, it's going to last you at least 7 years worth of operating system updates. And other tools are already built into the device, such as what I spoke about, the magnification, the color contrast, enlarged font, the assistant, any of that other feature set is already available on those said devices. Phones to kind of avoid are maybe like I heard of a blue phone, sometimes Jitterbug, and some of these companies tend to just give out any old phones. The reason why is the tools that are set up on there will get you along, but you might hit a wall. And when you do, your money's kind of going to cry because you could have spent that extra $50, got you the better device. But some of these companies tend to give you the bottom of the barrel. So just be kind of cautious whenever you are choosing accessibility tools because each phone in the Android ecosystem may give you something more limiting. That's why to stick with the popular brands, such as I just mentioned, Samsung, Google Pixel, Sony is another great brand. Motorola is pretty decent, but the only downfall for Motorola is they only have a year or so of support. So after a couple of years, you're gonna probably have to probably buying a new device. So that's kind of some of the up and downs of Android. But you know what? Let me take a little break here, and if you have questions, if you want to kind of gear me towards giving you more information, we could get into that, and I could also get some phones ready here so y'all could hear TalkBack and kind of go from there.
All right, folks, and to unmute yourself, there is a button at the bottom left of your screen. Looks like a microphone. If you cannot see that, the keyboard shortcut is to press Alt plus the letter A. If you're on a Mac, it's Command Shift A. And if you're on a phone, it's star 6. Eileen, I see you unmuted. You want to have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Shri. This is really interesting, especially since everybody I know always brags about the iPhone. I have a question though. I did try the TalkBack the other day, and for lack of another word, it took over my phone. I could not get it to shut up. It locked up my whole phone. I couldn't use. My fingers were totally. It was like it was ignoring me entirely, and when I came home, I had to call AT&T, who could not fix it. They switched me to Samsung, who tried and tried and tried, and they finally figured out that they could take over my phone, and they finally figured out how to just take it off. But so I don't know what happened, but I had a horrendous experience. So I'm kind of leery of all apps now.
Well, thank you so much for that question. And yes, and thank you because it really makes sense that everybody is in a different position. So what you're referring to is the screen reader talkback, and they come on from different button pressing. So give you an example on the Pixel. If I held the volume up and down, well, see, it still wants to talk, keeps talking and talking. But
Media volume controls.
Yeah.
Music volume muted.
yeah, like kind of like that. So I'm gonna hold the volume button just to see if it will shut off now.
Yeah, I know my
So-
volume, that's what they said to do.
Yep.
Hold
So
those, and it didn't work.
So I mean, on the Pixel device, it's volume up and down, and that's what I just tested there. So I held both of them down, and you heard it bling and blink. So let's try it one more time. I'm gonna hold it up. All right.
Talk back on. System UI.
Okay.
116.
So that's just the Pixel phone for an example. Now you mentioned Samsung, and they pushed you off to Samsung. So I have a S22 Galaxy S22 Ultra in my hand here. So I'm going to plug it in so you could hear the phone.
1:16 p.m.
All right.
T-Mobile selected.
All right. So here we
Unlocked.
got
Device unlocked.
the phone's
One UI
unlocked.
home. Tuesday, March 19th, 1:17
Okay, so
PM.
this is the
Ink
annoying.
printer.
Okay,
Email.
shh,
3 new messages.
quiet. I'm on a meeting, please. But you didn't need it at all, right? Because you accidentally were you got it toggled on, And on a Samsung phone, let's give that same thing a shot, right? So I'm gonna go to the volume up and down. I'm gonna hold these two buttons. La 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 la.
Reading mode. Button.
Whoop.
Hide reading mode. Out
Oh.
of pager.
Different mode. That didn't work, right? So yes, sometimes there are differentials between brands. To turn off TalkBack on this phone particularly, it would have been volume up and the power button, which is the flat button, and then the volume buttons are smaller chiclet buttons. They have the gap in the middle, and the power button's just one big solid button. On the other side of most phones, it's usually flat these days, so modern phones may only have buttons on one side, just a heads up. And no headphone jack, unfortunately, in most new phones. But I'm going to turn off TalkBack, so volume up and the power button.
Talk back off.
And it announced it. TalkBack is off,
Talk back on.
and TalkBack is back on. So again, I have partial low vision, so for me it works out. The thing is to really just go through the tutorials, or kind of, as you're riding the bull, so to speak, wrangle it rather than letting it wrangle you. You have control, but I apologize, you didn't know that quick, power up and the volume thing, and that happens, and we could really work through it. It's just, I think sometimes it's just the having everything the same might help in the Android ecosystem, but if you have more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Millie, I see you unmuted yourself. Did you have a question?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for all this. And this is my first tech talk here. And so I'm in a bit of a quandary because I am a diehard Android user. And it hasn't been until about 2 years ago is when I start losing my sight rather rapidly. All my kids are Apple. My husband's Apple. Every one of my friends. I am the only one I know that has an Android, and it talks to me. It makes sense to me. This iPhone business, I have no idea. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm at this crossroads that now I use it's a Samsung A50, I believe, and they don't make any more updates, and I have to get a new phone. Like this week, I have to get a new phone. And I am struggling like you can't believe because everybody's going, Mom, it's time to get the iPhone. It's time, you have to go to the other side. I'm like, I don't want to go to the other side. It doesn't make any sense to me. And so I'm thinking, I'm just being stubborn, right? But I don't know. Then was it yesterday or the day before? All of a sudden I saw this Android 101. Oh my gosh, I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't wait to talk to you guys because everybody and his brother tells me to get an iPhone. And I haven't. Yes, I have an iPad. And the only reason why I have an iPad is because my husband got it for me 2 years ago and it sat in a drawer for a year and a half. So, and I started using it because I can, up for a little bit, but my sight is getting much, much worse. And so I don't know what to do. But what I heard you say earlier was this, you said this Google Pixel, this a Pixel 8 by a Google or whatever,
Correct,
or
yes.
a Samsung. So what do you say about my conundrum?
So, here, let's just be friends because we're all friends with Apple people. So Shri, I'm holding an iPhone 14 up with a pink case on it right now, just for giving people that might not have sight. But yes, Shri's still my friend and he's an Apple user, an avid Apple user at that. But the thing is, it's all about communication, right? It's all about getting through to your family or what have you. Now, the other barrier of point is probably cost. And so, what is your budget? And so, many times over, if you're used to a operating system or an ecosystem like such as Samsung's, you could stick within Samsung. So the flagship, as they call it right now, is the S24. And in the summertime, around June, July, August, I want to say August for Samsung, they'll come out with the Fold and the Flip. So if you are into that old makeup type phone, just flip you're mad at somebody, just close the phone on them. You could still, and that still has accessibility features. So the only reason I'm saying that is the form factor. You have choice. If you wanted to go with the Pixel side of the pond of the Android side, we have the Pixel 8 as the newest phones from Google. The Pixel Fold has been out for quite some time, but in May we might hear about the Pixel Fold 2. Let me think. The summertime we also have a cheaper version called probably the A series, so it'll be the Pixel 8A at this point. We had a 7A. Those phones specifically go for roughly $375. Give example for the 7A, I've seen it as low as $375. So to get something as a budget phone, that's a good entry level to jump into. A Pixel 8 phone, for example, if you just got a regular old size Pixel 8, that is going to be for $500 roughly. And then I've seen the Pixel 8 Pro, which is a bigger screen, might help you with larger text and stuff, at about $800 on sale. So that's just kind of some idea of price range in the Pixel world. Samsung phones, it all depends on sales and their carriers. The A series are great phones if you stick to the ones like you have right now. Your A50 is from 2020
Yeah.
probably, or a little bit earlier. So
Or, yeah.
the numbers, like if you look at 50, 51, 52, right now, the newest phone that they'll come out with, the next one up rather, is an A55. So it'll be for 2025. But that's how they kind of do their naming scheme, so to speak. But A stands for kind of a mid range, whereas the S series is their flagship on the Samsung side.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
But if either or if you like your Samsung, where you like how you get to your menus and all of that, stick to it. If you're going to probably dabble into being a screen reader user more, then go for the Pixel because it has a lot of neat tools where you could use the assistant to be more proficient, to say, hey, blah blah blah, go send a message, and you're off to the races, and you could go on with your day. And when it comes to the ecosystem between iOS and Android, you still have a lot of flexibility. I mean, there are other applications you could use to message if that's the form that's messing up. But as far as cost and familiarity, I would say you have great time to stick around with Android, and all the features that you find on iOS you'll find there.
So, so the Apple doesn't give me more.
They give you they give you equal because one thing is you're already familiar with what you know now. When you go into the iOS, it's going to give you great amount of tools. It's just, but you're going to have to go learn that system as well. So they're both great tools to use, but it's what you're more familiar with. And then again, the budget and the cost is the other factor to what you decide to get.
Got it. Okay.
Can I just say one thing to Millie?
Sure.
Millie, another idea, and this is what I did. Don't use AT&T or Verizon to figure out which phone you want. Go to Best Buy. They have every brand, all of them, the Apple, they're all right there. And that's what I did. And that's why I chose the Samsung. The contrast in an ability to read it was so much sharper than the Apple phones. So figure it out for yourself by looking at all of them. And to this day, my phone, as little as it is easier to read than my computer. It's that contrast is incredible. So figure that out for yourself. Everybody's eyes are different, but I just want you to have all the options. Now shut up.
No,
No,
well,
thank you
no,
for-
I appreciate that. Thank you very much for that.
And a quick thing there is everybody's eyes are different. So if you do need to start looking into speech, look in your accessibility settings. If you just go to the regular old settings by swiping down on your notifications, and then in the top right on Samsung phones, you'll find that little sprocket wheel looking thing. And that's settings. And if you scroll to the bottom half of that list, it says accessibility. And you'll get some tools that could help you there. One of them is, like I mentioned, select to speak. And the TalkBack screen reader can be a useful tool if you could just, allow it and kind of spend time with it. You'll find and you'll harness a whole new power with your Android phone just by learning the screen reader aspect of it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. That was very, very helpful. I appreciate
You're very
that.
welcome. Thank you.
We have a question from 703, last three digits 091.
That's me. This is Barbara. How are you all today?
Excellent.
Hey, Barbara.
Okay. The previous caller that spoke, she gave me a lot of information also. So go to Best Buy. I will do that because one of my questions was going to be, is there a place you can go to actually try some of these phones out? And going to Best Buy, someplace like that, do they actually allow you to try them out? Does anyone know that?
And this is Hershey. Yes, they do, ma'am. And the thing is if they don't, just ask one of the reps to say, hey, I need to know all the accessibility features and whatnot. Earlier, for example, like I'm listening to a screen reader, right? So it's helping me as a tool, but someone asked about how do I enlarge the font, right? So I'm going to connect my phone here shortly, and same difference. We talked about how do you turn on the screen reader, right? So if you were at Best Buy and you held a Samsung phone, remember what you learned today if you hit the volume up and the power button, that phone's going to start talking to you. But the difference is when it starts talking to you, any action that you take, you have to tap it twice, right? So one finger, think of it as a mouse, right? It points at what you're looking for on the screen, and then the second tap selects that item. So if you do need that kind of tool, or if you're familiar with that type of tool with having a screen reader, there's that available. But if you go to the settings on any of these phones, if you know how to get to the settings with the limited vision that you have, there's a menu for accessibility, and all of these tools are kind of in one location. So there's not a whole bunch of digging around that you have to do. Just go to your settings by swiping the notification down. So here on a visual, I have my S22 Ultra. I'm going to go ahead and just plug it in. So I'm going to hear the screen reader, but at least it lets me know what I'm doing. All right, so
Use fingerprint or swipe with 2 fingers unlocked. Device unlocked. One UI home.
Okay,
Button. Google search.
so it has it has a fingerprint scanner on the screen, right? So I had the phone just kind of unlocked. So the one that you find at Best Buy is probably just going to sit unlocked. But if you don't have a screen reader, just use swipe down from the top with one finger. But with a screen reader, I got to use 2 fingers. So I'm going to swipe down,
Notification shade.
Right.
Bluetooth on. NFC
and then
on.
I'm going to
All
go
on.
to
Phone signal
settings
full.
up top to the right.
Button. Settings.
All right, I'm going to double tap that because that's where I want to go.
Settings. Button.
And
Search
we're going to
settings.
kind of take care of a couple questions at the same time here while we're showing you where the accessibility is. So I'm looking for accessibility, but I know it's all the way at the bottom. So I'm just going to scroll to the bottom by taking 2 fingers and just flicking it up like I'm throwing the blinds up. I'm just going to
Okay.
throw it up there.
Showing item 34 of 29.
Okay, I'm 34 of 29 items. Let's
Of
see.
tips about phone. Status. Legal information. Phone name.
Okay,
27
so-
of 29.
So I heard about. I know that that's not
At
where
the
I need to
bottom of
be.
my, it says about phone. It
Right,
doesn't
that's-
have accessibility.
About is
I'm
all
in
the way at the
settings.
about is all the way at the bottom of the phone, right? So I know that I'm in the right position because about is pretty much at the end, as I know. So if I swipe to the left, I'm going to go a couple more back upwards.
Tips and user manual. Useful tips. New features. 26 of 29.
If you need to learn about your phone, that's a good place.
Software update. Download
I
and
don't
install.
need to update.
25 of 29. Accessibility. Vision.
Aha, that's
hearing,
the one I wanted.
dexterity. 24 of 29.
So it has
Showing item
hearing
34 of
stuff,
29.
dexterity stuff. If you have different, I have MS as well. So, we have different abilities. And sometimes if you need to have different dexterity stuff, all the settings are in one place. So I'm going to double tap here.
Accessibility. Button.
All
Navigate
right,
up.
so
Out
here we
list.
are. We are on the main screen. I'm just going to quickly give you a little view for people that have a little bit of sight there
Accessibility.
to look at the screen. And
Button. Search settings.
I'm just swiping right with
Button.
my finger
More options.
just to get to different
Recommended for you.
spots.
3 accessibility
I'm
functions
looking
in
for
use.
vision.
1 of 10. Vision enhancements. 2 of 10.
Okay, that's what I want to do because I wanted to enlarge the font. So I'm going to double tap
Vision
that.
enhancements. Button. Navigate up. Out of
Now,
list.
I'm just using the screen reader just for my sake, but y'all don't have to have the screen reader on and have that talk to you.
Vision enhancements.
Okay, swiping right just to get down this list.
Display mode. Heading.
All
Button.
right.
Default. Not selected. Column 1. In. Button. High contrast. Not selected. Column 2.
Well, I could change it on the fly. If I need high contrast, I'll just double tap that, for example.
Button. High contrast. Selected. Showing items. with
Everything
5
on my
of
screen
26.
now gets into this high contrast mode. I didn't have to do anything extra. It's already quickly there. All the settings are changed for me automatically. If I swipe to
Button.
the
Large
right,
display. Not selected.
well, I
Column
want my
3.
screen to be larger. I don't want it to be high contrast. Double tap that.
Button. Large display. Selected. Showing items.
Now
1 to 6
everything
of
is
26.
large. So we asked how can we change the font? Well, if you chose large display, it automatically will peak it at the largest font and the largest window size. Excuse me, sorry about that. But the largest font and the largest window size. So
Font size and
This
screen
is-
zoom are increased. Bold font and highlight buttons are turned on. Out of grid.
so that's what it did for me, right? It bolded my font. It here, let's hear it again.
Button. Large display. Selected. Font size and screen zoom are increased. Bold font and highlight buttons are turned on. Out of grid.
Okay, that's what it did for us.
Button. Apply.
And I could hit apply.
Button. Navigate up. Window vision enhancements.
Right.
Vision enhancements.
So if you have more questions, I have the phone here to work with. Be more than happy to answer more.
Yes, I do have another question. Is there some place here in the DMV where I can literally go in with my phone? I'm in the process of reviewing new phones, so this information I'm getting today is very helpful because I need a new one. I don't use my cell phone for banking and all the other stuff that a lot of people use it for. I basically use it for texting, getting phone calls, and that's pretty much it, to be truthful, when I'm out. So again, but what you're explaining to me, I'm trying to find out if there's actually a place in the DMV where I can go with my new phone and get that, hands-on, instruction.
Screen off. Ringer silent.
Sean, maybe if you would have any insight on this specifically in that area.
Yeah, could you say that one more time? I didn't hear it, everything.
Sean, this is Tara.
Okay, thank you, Tara.
Yeah. So yes, there are two places you can go to. The first one is the Prevention of Blindness, our Low Vision Resource Center in Alexandria. And my colleague Edlin, she's our Android geek. We always try to convert her, but we haven't succeeded yet. And the other place,
I've met with Edlin before, so I wasn't sure she was still doing it, but she is.
She is. And the other place is the Martin Luther King Library as well. They have classes, Android classes, and you can go there and they will help you.
And where's that library at?
That's in DC, the Center for Accessibility, and it's called the Martin Luther King Library.
The address is 901 G Street Northwest.
And
Thank you, Janice.
It's only a block from the Gallery Place Metro, so it's easy to get to.
Okay. Thank you
This
so
is
much.
Shree.
Yeah, Sean, Buddy Moore.
Go ahead, and then Shree.
Yeah, a question on the tutorial. Now, how valuable is the tutorial and how do you get to it? What does it offer? I know when I first got my Pixel phone, I went into the tutorial for a short period of time, but it didn't last very long, maybe a couple of weeks. But unfortunately, my son, who is in the technology field, has TeamViewer. So he helps me quite a bit, which sort of does not allow me to test things on my own because he always helps me out. But my question is, the tutorial, how do you get to it? And is it really important to deal with tutorial so you can get a better feel for what the phone has to offer? I use my desktop more than I use my phone. As one of the other callers stated, I generally use my phone for texting and phone calls because the font size is too small for me to actually read the screen on my phone.
So as far as your vision is concerned, are you using a screen reader or are you using more of the large font magnification style of things?
Well, I'm taking a class with Joe and Jaws, so I'm beginning to learn the screen reader on my desktop.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah, just to kind of give you a secret to all the screen readers, they're all the same. Okay. Seriously. Because if you think about it, right now what you're learning with JAWS is about edit fields, forms, and elements and such that, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's convert that. Let's take it to TalkBack because that's what they use for Android. Well, you still have edit fields, right? You still have to go to a website, type in an address, right? So that is an edit field technically. But
right.
The control that you're using is different, right? Your finger is your mouse. Your finger is your keyboard. Mm-hmm. And so what we tend to do is we're listening for what feedback we're getting. So if I were to get onto my device here with the S22 Ultra or the Pixel, you said you had a Pixel, so I mean I could plug in the Pixel real quick just to give it a little run around here in the park. All right, let's see. Okay.
Gmail has one note of home.
All right, so we got the Pixel phone up, but if I were to take 4 fingers and let's see what happens. I think it's 4-finger tap or double tap. It's always squirrely in my head, but let's try it out.
Practice gestures.
Aha, so 4-finger tap.
On this screen to hear what that gesture does.
And let me know if I need to turn it up
Keep
or
practicing by tapping once, twice, or 3 times with 2, 3, or 4 fingers. You can also double tap and hold with 2, 3, or 4 fingers.
Right.
Raise up
Music
your
volume
cell
set to
phone.
76%. Tap
Pardon
with
me?
2 fingers. Pause or resume.
I didn't get that last bit. Somebody asked something.
Don't worry about that, Hershey. Just continue.
Okay, so
Tap with 2 fingers.
so yeah,
Pause
so
or
you,
resume
with
speech.
TalkBack, it is you have a multi it's a multi-finger screen reader.
Okay.
So one finger is kind of like your pointer,
Mhm.
and then 2 fingers is kind of used for selecting or play pause or answering ending your call.
Okay.
3 fingers is moving what they call reading controls or navigation controls. So that could be like if you're trying to navigate by character, by word, by
Uh-huh.
line,
Okay.
by paragraph, heading. You could set that up to what you like, and then 4 fingers is usually just a. You could set that to customize gestures if you'd like, but in this case, 4 finger tap takes you to the TalkBack tutorial test pad. I think it was.
Okay.
Let's try it again.
Tap with 4 fingers. Practice gestures.
So that's for practicing gestures. Now, how do I get out of it? I'm going to swipe with the 1 finger to the right.
Finish button.
Okay,
Double
I'm
tap
done
to
with it.
activate.
We've done our tutorial for today. I've had enough. I double tap that,
Home.
and it goes
Home.
away to the home screen.
Actions
Now, what
available.
happens if
Use
I
tap
double
with 3
tap
fingers
with
to view.
4 fingers? I'll double tap it.
Tutorial and help. Navigate up.
Okay, so
button.
this screen is different.
Double
It says
tap to
tutorial
activate.
and help. So now let me swipe to the right real quick with this.
Tutorial 1 of 3. In
So if
list,
I want to
3
get to the
items.
tutorial, I could get
Double
get
tap
it
to activate.
that way. Let's swipe one more.
Practice gestures 2 of 3.
If I want to practice the
Double tap to
gestures, I
activate.
could get to that. So tutorial and gestures are 2 different things. Gestures are what you're performing with your fingers. So how I'm sitting here, just I'm looking at y'all at the camera, but my hand is doing all the squigglies and swirling around on the screen facing
Okay.
you all. So I'm going to swipe
Help and
right.
feedback 3
Help
of
and
3.
feedback. So if you do
Double
need
tap
help,
to activate.
one quick tip that I could give all of y'all, if you ever need help with anything Google, Samsung, and any of this, and especially in accessibility, a quick email address is g, as in Google, .co/disability support. So again, G as in golf, dot, C as in Charlie, O as in Oscar, /disability, DISABILITY,
Screen off.
support. And you could get to them even through applications on your phone called like Be My Eyes if you needed to use your camera. So if you have devices in your house like a thermostat and stuff, just to give you, Android is vast. It's a big ecosystem. That's why I want to give you guys enough information that at least you feel comfortable getting into the ecosystem and you're making the right decisions and not getting some phone that some company thinks that you should buy because it's free. So
Okay, great. All right, thanks.
you're welcome. Any more
All right.
questions?
I do see MT has their. Oh, never mind. They put their hand down. Oh, hands back up. MT, did you have a question?
Y- Yes, thank you. I did also I posted also the question on the chat and somebody attempted to answer it. So my question is, how can I make, for example, a phone call using the voice command without having to dial the keys? I have no idea how can I activate that feature.
Okay. I think
I have
one
a
phone
Samsung.
is
I have a Samsung.
okay. I know my other phone is probably here. Let's see, where did I put my Samsung now? I'm playing juggling phones here now. Anyway, you would basically say okay and then the word Google. That's gonna activate it. So yeah, I'll just say it on
1:52
my
p.m.
this phone
Okay,
here.
that's what
Notice,
somebody
emergency calls only.
answered,
System
replied to
online.
my in the chat.
142 out of
If somebody answers it, you said.
I mean, somebody answered it on the chat when I asked the question.
Okay, yeah.
What do I need to say? Okay, Google?
Okay, Google.
Google. Tap to dismiss assistant. Double
Okay,
tap to activate.
And then send message to.
But for
Google.
me, in
Tap
order for me
dismiss
to say,
assistant.
okay, Google, do I need to
Screen
have any app downloaded first?
No, and you mentioned it's a Samsung, right? What type of Samsung do you recall?
S22.
Yeah, so no, you don't. It should your Google Assistant should be part of that, and then on your Samsung phone, you also have Bixby on your S22 Ultra or
Yes,
S22, excuse me.
I
So
have no
both
idea how does that work.
both of them work similar. So here, let me get my S22, the exact phone that you have, and if you, I'll get you to the menus with my screen reader. That way, at least I could show you where
Cover the entire
approximately fits
fingerprint
not.
sensor. Unlocked. Device unlocked. Vision
Okay.
enhancements. High
So
contrast fonts.
I'm going to go back to
One UI
settings.
home. Notification shade. Bluetooth button. Settings. Settings. Button. Search settings.
Okay. In settings, you want to go
Connections.
to
Wi-Fi. Connected devices. Modes and routines. Showing items to sounds and vibration. Sound mode. Notifications. Display. Bright. Battery. Power saving. Charge. Wallpaper and style. Themes. Themes. Home screen. Layout. Lock screen. Screen. Security and privacy. Showing items 15. Location. Location. Safety and emergence. Accounts and backup. Manage accounts. Smart switch. Google. Google services. 18 of 29. Accounts and backup. Manage. Google. Google services. 18 of 29.
apologize about that. But if you heard it said Google and services and such, if
Okay,
you
but
find that specific item there, if you go into that menu, you could at least figure it out. It's going to tell you about my account, so I'm not going to dive into it right now. But if you find that in the settings, there's a specific menu item that says Google. And again, if you also
under setting,
under settings, correct,
Google.
correct. It's its own menu, so
Yes,
it's
I see it now.
Advanced
Okay.
features.
it's
Labs,
above
S10,
advanced,
side button 19. Digital well-being and parental controls.
and
Screen
it's
time.
above
App timers,
the
20 of
digital
29.
well-being.
Showing
It's
item
above that,
28 of
two
29.
above that one. So if you go into there, you could set it up where if you wanted to change it where it recognizes your voice only, then, you know, if it's your family member says, okay, G, I don't want to say it because otherwise all of them will start talking to us. But if you say that, it'll only recognize your voice rather than somebody else. So that's one way to customize it. And then it'll know, okay, G, message, you know, family member, I'm going to be late for dinner, send, etc.
Screen off. Ringer silent.
But thank you for the question.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sean?
Go ahead, Joe.
Yes. Hershey's. So I'm Joe. Awkward to work with Tara and Sean and Edlin. So I'm a diehard Apple user. However, I really like what you've done today with the presentation because I I do agree with you. For a lot of folks, using the voice will help. And I also like what you said. It's really not that different than using JAWS or any other voice. I guess maybe the tip or question I have, because many of our clients do struggle, right with this area, like using the phone consistently and independently. Do you have any tips, particularly for folks that might be struggling with kind of remembering? I know one thing I've encouraged folks to do is when they have a tutorial, maybe record it also so you can listen to it again to practice. And also, I guess on the Apple end, sometimes what I'll recommend is a phone with the home button, which is just kind of you can touch that and use it. Although I don't know if that's necessary with a Samsung or another, but I'm just curious for some folks that want a more simplified phone, is there any recommendations? You've already kind of covered it with the Samsung and
Man, y'all keep
yeah.
pulling me into the techie talk. I love the
Oh.
day-to-days. I love getting nerdy and techie, but yeah. So with both phones,
Yeah.
the hardware junkie is gonna pick the Samsung phone. Sorry, that's me.
Right.
The smart person that's gonna find it for the needs is gonna probably pick the Pixel phone, which. I'm low vision and I'm going to stick to it, right? So
Sure.
I like the features that I find on Samsung to give me font enlargement and larger looking
Right.
font. For the low vision end, Samsung is a better deal. So if you're into screen readers, Pixel is going to come out with the screen reader the quickest and first. As when you mentioned recording notes and such that, now Pixel comes out with the Pixel drops. So that means it's Pixel features. And give you example, the Google Pixel phone, well, with the recorder app, I could have recorded this whole meeting and it would have gave me a transcript of the whole meeting.
Okay.
And I could have typed in, hey, what did Bob say at, hour 15? or whatever,
Wow.
hour, minute 15 or whomever. And I
Mhm,
could find
mhm.
that specific piece in my notes. So when it
Mm.
comes to taking that phone to your Windows PC, hook it up to the, computer, copy paste that text note onto the JAWS. Now here you go. You're in this big old ecosystem. You have your JAWS
Mm.
PC, you got your phone, but then wait, you need to order pizza. So you order pizza, right? And you on your Pizza Hut app or Papa John's or Domino's, whoever, local pizza shop. But then you know what? You said I'm gonna go pick it up, and I need to go pick up something else. So then I need to go order Uber or Lyft. So as a person mentioned earlier, I get it. You just want to make a phone call. I get it. You just want to do one or two things. But
Mhm.
I mean, God bless to the people that we lost in the pandemic. But I also found this opportunity to come to iBug today, and I just started answering Android questions. So, we all come from different places with different site, but I encourage everyone to at least give it a shot. I mean, getting Ubers and Lyft is quite easy because it's given me the independence to travel on my own. I could use apps like Lookout, and I could point it at things and know, hey, the trash can's over there to my left, or the door is in front of me, or the door's in 5 feet away from me, or stuff like that. So there are applications and tools. We didn't even get into the brunt of the tools that are out there.
Yes.
But Google Lookout is one app you could download on your Samsung or any Android phone. Envision AI or Envision is another app. Both apps are free. They offer you document reading mode. They offer you text reading mode, and I highly encourage if tomorrow, if I know almost going to be running out of time here, but if anyone wants to, go to ibugtoday.com, and there's a Zoom link there. Join us at 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow from 8 to 9:30, and we could dive into these questions. And
Yes.
I'm your friends, guys. I mean, I know I live in Daytona Beach, Florida here, but we're in the East Coast, and I would love to help anybody with any further questions. We do have a mailing list. So if you send a blank email to ibug, IBUG, Android, ANDROID, Insight, INSIGHT, plus the plus sign, subscribe at groups.io. Just send a blank email. You'll join a mailing list. And I know if we run out of time here, ask your questions there. I would love to get your resources. If we could do any other, work for you guys to help you, more than happy to help anyone, because it's a journey, and we all come from different places, and sites different. So I hope that with the devices, I hope that helps a little bit to understand. Pixel devices have cool features, so I would say if you want something brand new, then
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that address to
Yeah.
send the blank
Absolutely.
mail
Or
to?
send us an email or something.
Sure. And if anyone in the admin team, if you also want to type it out, but I'm going to spell it out for you here shortly. So it is iBug, I as in India, B as in boy, U as in umbrella, G as in golf, iBug, Android, Insight, INSIGHT, the plus sign,
Oh,
at, and then the at sign, sorry, groups, GROUPS .io, India, Oscar. So if you send a blank email, you're basically on the mailing list, and don't be shy, because Android is tough sometimes, and any novice question to any expert nerding out questions, all of them are fair game. And thank you so much.
you.
Yeah, Sean, can you get that email address and send it to us? Have it?
Yeah, so I just put it in the chat
Just put it in
box.
the chat.
When we do when I send out the recording, I'll include that, and that's for
Okay.
disability.
Thanks.
And
Thanks,
and
Sean.
tomorrow, if you don't even need to email us to join the list, but if you simple address ibugtoday.com,
Okay.
and the Zoom link will get you to Sheree. It'll get you to any of those products or any of those calls, because they're all virtual, right? And for me, I'm passionate about accessibility, so as much as I could help, I'm out there for y'all.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Great.
Hey, Sean, this is Shree.
Go right ahead.
Okay. Hey, Hershey, I apologize. I got mixed up with
No,
today
no,
and
no, no, no.
tomorrow.
But see, we need people to come to the buzz call too. So I mean, it's a fun call. I mean, you see, it's not about, well, let's go join this groups and that group stuff. It's just people kind of coming to the water cooler. So
Yeah.
like I met Shree through just coming to the water cooler, and he happened to be in Virginia. I happened to be in Florida. So, our other host is in New York. So, we all come from different places, and don't feel shy. And we might have some movies or something you might like. So it's a little bit for everybody. It's not just Android or iOS or this and that.
And one thing I wanted to add also, Hershey and I we're going to be doing some other things. So I'll let Sean know when we do those things. We're going to do some things about, you guys brought up between Apple and Android. And so Hershey and I are going to do some comparison, looking at the same app and how it works in Android and how it works in the Apple world. And I completely agree with what Hershey said. If you started something, you don't need to change it. Just work on what you learned, and it is truly a journey. So, so I just want to give those two comments, and thank you, Hershey.
Yep,
Not a
thanks.
problem. Thank you.
Yep.
And I should also mention all of these services that you're talking about are free, correct?
They are. We have
Zero.
21 different activities that we do every month, ranging from Apple support, Mac support, Android support. We also have some social events. We do every Friday night, we do a audio described movie, and that occurs every Friday that you can find on our website at ibugtoday.org.
Mm.
Sean, this is James.
Go right ahead, Janice.
I have an unpaid endorsement, so I try to listen into Android Insight as much as possible, and Hershey's great. And some of the other callers who call in frequently, they give great advice. And actually, I've also listened into a lot of I agree that we're just Android people in an Apple world. And I've listened to some of Shree's classes as well. And you can gain information even by listening to an Apple class, because we don't want to have to learn new gestures and memorize new gestures and go over to Apple, but you can learn things that your phone can do. So I think I might have mentioned earlier in one of Shree's classes, he was talking about how you can make a phone call and put it on speaker. And I was like, oh. So I just found out how to do it on my Android phone so that you can be hands-free. And so you can learn things from whichever one you're not, using. And my quick question to Hershey was, are the gestures the same for Android and Pixel or Samsung and Pixel?
Yeah, so Samsung Pixel, they all use the same screen reader called TalkBack now. We don't have to remember the old stuff no more. Everybody's on the same page moving forward. So Samsung TalkBack, it's a little delayed by 6 months, but the feature set is exactly the same. They're just coming from different app stores. The Galaxy Store is what Samsung gets their TalkBack version, and then TalkBack, the regular old TalkBack comes from Google's Android Accessibility Suite, and that's already installed on all Android devices. So like I said, the volume up and down will work on any other devices aside from Samsung to get TalkBack on and off. And then the volume up and power is only to Samsung devices. And I think I do remember your name, and I know you've joined us quite a few months. And one quick thing you reminded me of is if you all want to watch some of the videos, find us also on YouTube. There are about 34 videos. Tomorrow we'll make about 35. So if you go to iBug Today and put that in the search area, you'll go to join or go to channel. And then once you go to channel, there's a little tab there. It says playlist. And if you tap on the iBug Android Insight, you could see all the videos just related to Android or any of the other like the Buzz Call or the Cafe as Shree does. So if you wanted to find us that way and just watch some of the old material just to learn from what's been going on, and kind of because we all help each other, right? I'm not the one who's answering all these questions. It's the community that drives the answers. So if you go to, like I said, youtube.com, search iBug Today, and in the playlist, just look for iBug Android Insight.
All right. Well, Hershey, thanks so much for coming on today. This was
Not a
really,
problem.
really
Thank you.
informative. We may have to have you come back sometime.
Sure, not a problem.
But for those of you who maybe joined a little bit later or you want to revisit this, I will share the recording. We do have our town hall tomorrow. So at the conclusion of tomorrow's town hall, I'll be sharing the recording for the Tech Talk today. in the town hall, as well as the resources that were shared. So Hershey, thank you again, and thank you
Thank
everyone
you,
for
and thank you to everybody out in DC and in the local areas that joined us today.